So we're on eco mode, and this thing has tons of pull.
Today we're reviewing the 2022 CL-X Sport 700 made by CFMoto. So right away, I know that I love the look of this bike. It's, in my opinion, in the category of the naked sport bikes, which I've had before, and I do love the look much more than a standard sport bike. I don't like the look of sport bikes. I love the look of these. So the first thing I notice is that the seat really cradles you. You feel like you're sitting down inside the bike instead of on top of the bike. The tank feels massive. Initial impression of the seating position is I'm a little bit more lean forward than I'm used to or would prefer. Peg height does seem a little high from my personal liking. You can tell my feet are a little bit further back from my knees. This bike does have locking forks, so when you park it, you can lock the fork sideways. It's got miles per hour, it's got a tachometer, it's got average speed. I'm guessing you can flip through that for different options. It's got an odometer, it's got a gas gauge, it's got a trip meter, it has a gear indicator. This has an eco and a sport mode. Oh, this has cruise control? Wow, okay. So stock form, this comes with a very skinny pad. A passenger could sit here, but I was told there are options that you can buy aftermarket for a more comfortable seat for the passenger. The foot pegs look big and comfortable, and it does obviously come with passenger foot pegs as well. The shifting lever looks large, looks like it should be easy to shift. It's in a good position. It's got disc brakes in the front and disc brakes in the back. This exhaust looks aftermarket, but appears to be stock as well. Overall, this looks like it's going to be a fun bike to ride. Nothing that I don't really like except for the riding position. It looks like I'm leaning forward just a little bit more than I would prefer, so long distance riding might be a little bit uncomfortable. It's friggin' loud. Clutch is very sensitive. Yeah, very early release on the clutch. Brakes are touchy. Got Donte on the Kymco Spade ahead of us. Test riding that. Be a big difference between my Kymco Spade and this 700. Not sure what he's gonna think after he gets done riding it. You notice there's a big difference between the eco and the sport mode. We're in eco mode right now, and you can tell it is pretty tame. So there is pull, but it's pretty controlled. The riding position doesn't feel too aggressive now that I'm on it. It feels pretty good, honestly. The exhaust is a lot louder than I would prefer. Starting from a standstill and taking off, very smooth. I would definitely have to get an aftermarket exhaust that's way quieter. So we're on eco mode, and this thing has tons of pull. Downshifting feels amazing. This shifting in general just feels good. No hiccups, very smooth. Obviously has plenty of power. We'll not be hitting a top speed. He's really taken off on that Kymco. I'm surprised it's going that fast. So far, riding position extremely comfortable. I'm really surprised. Maybe, like I said, after extended time on this, like an hour or two, maybe it would get tiring, but right away, I'm sitting straight up right now, and it feels great. My legs are a little bit tighter than I'd like, but nothing crazy. The tank kind of just disappears. I know it feels big when I first sat on it, but when I'm riding, obviously focused on the road, everything just kind of disappears. He mentioned that he spent under $10,000 on this, so we got a little price range there. I'll put the retail price up on the screen. He bought it used. Could have got a better deal. I'm not sure if I would be willing to spend that kind of money on any naked sport bike or any sport bike. You guys, if you see my other videos, you know that I prefer standard riding positions, but this is a solid motorcycle. It feels great. It feels smooth. It feels like it's not going to get away from me. It's comfortable for the most part so far. We just got back from the test ride of the CL-X Sport 700, and this thing is absolutely insane. It has so much power, and the riding position, my number one critique from my initial thoughts, was actually not that bad. It felt really comfortable when I was riding. Would I want to sit like that for several hours? Probably not, but from our 20-30 minute test ride we just did, it wasn't a problem at all, and I was very surprised. The foot pegs did come up higher than I'd like, but it wasn't terrible. They're very comfortable, they're really wide, and they have a nice piece of rubber on them. The handlebars were a perfect position. You felt like you were in complete control the entire time. Felt great. The shifting was my number one thing I liked about this bike. The shifting, upshifting and downshifting, the engine braking, everything was just perfect. It felt smooth on takeoff. The where the clutch releases is very close to the grip, so it's almost immediately as you start to let go is when it gets into gear. The brakes work very well. They're a little bit touchy. If you're a new rider and you're considering this as your first or even second bike, this has tons of power and the brakes are very touchy, so it might be a little dangerous, but once you get used to it, I'm sure it'll be fine. There are eco and sport mode. I never came out of eco mode. It had tons of power even in eco mode, so I would be scared to even try the sport mode. While riding, the dash really impressed me. It had everything I needed all in one little circle, so that was great. The kill switch is integrated with the push to start, which is really cool. I haven't seen that in a little bit. Oh, and as you could tell from the test ride, my number one critique of this bike is this extremely loud exhaust. I prefer my bikes quiet, and this is not a bike you want to go cruising around in neighborhoods on, especially at night. If I were to own this bike, I would replace the exhaust for something quiet, if possible. Might not be possible. I'm not sure what there is for an aftermarket scene for this brand or this model. Would I buy this bike? After getting back from the test ride, I realized that I needed some more time to really think about this question. And the conclusion I came to was that at the list price of $7,400 plus fees and taxes, probably out $8,500, I would not buy this motorcycle. But on the used market, I would buy this motorcycle if I could find it between $5,000 or $6,500 for one in good condition, only a couple years old. This would be a great buy. But overall, it felt great. Tons of power, comfortable, great dash. Really enjoyed the time. Wanted to give a huge shout out to Donte for letting me test ride his bike. Put a lot of trust in me to ride this powerful bike, and I appreciate that. While I was riding this bike, you saw Donte testing my Kymco Spade 150. If you want to see more about that, click this video right here. And if you want to see me test ride other bikes, click this playlist right here.
Rapping when they all want me to sing, but still they all want an album, so I gave them 20 singles. Yeah, I'm trying to get a hit, that's why I swing.